What's up, y'all? My name is Sharif. I'm 24 years old. I've been doing this the past couple years, just doing content creation. I've been just experimenting with different types of, I would say, I guess hobbies. Right? They're hobbies because they're not my main career where I'm making a living off, but they're things that I'm progressing. For example, I'm a music artist. I make music. I'm also an aspiring model. So those are two things right off the bat that I could tell you that I do, and as well as content creation. So content creation is not my main focus. It's not something I wake up and think about. What's the new video idea? But I do like to make content about different things or whenever I have an idea. So it's more of a casual hobby that I do. But I do talk about motivational topics that I try to uplift people. I try to educate people and share my own perspective and wisdom on life. So that's about me. So the number one question, advice to my past self. My advice to my past self is remind yourself of your goals every single day. And anything that's not aligned to your goals, like your habits, I would say get rid of those habits. And I would say this too as well. Look at the overview of your life, right? Don't just think, oh, I have all this time until next year and stuff like that. Look how much you could do this year and make that a building block. Make each year a building block to your destination. Advice to my past self. So favorite movies. Oh my gosh. I don't even watch anything to tell you the truth. But if I had to pick something, it would probably be something that would educate me. So when it comes to these questions, put some fun into it to actually make me think. I feel like I watch less and less movies every single year. I haven't really watched movies like that since I was younger, to be honest, because I'm always working all my life. So, but if I had to pick something like that I subscribe to, for example, Disney Plus, I like the 2005 Fantastic Four. I should probably watch the new one that came out this year. But 2005 Fantastic Four, just on the top of my head, right? Super random. I also really like Terminator too. So, this movie is basically from my childhood. So, my favorite color, it's always gonna be the same answer. It's gonna be black and gold. Platinum's a color as well, so that's also on my mind. Mostly just gold. My biggest regret would be, I don't know if I said this in the past interviews, but my biggest regret, I would say not taking advantage of my teenage years, right? If I had to make it a regret in terms of seeing what I could build for myself and not making those years huge learning stones. Obviously, I did learn a lot because I was growing up, but I wasn't thinking in terms of careers, all that other stuff. Just growing as a person, and I felt like I could have done more in terms of a different direction. So it was just about getting high school done and just becoming the best basketball player possible. And it was only like that for the first 3 years of high school, because the first 3 years of high school, because by the time my senior year rolled around, I just, a lot of stuff happened. So athletics just wasn't on my mind my senior year of high school. So I wish I could have took advantage of my teenage years in terms to build my life. So if there had to be a regret, it would be that. The biggest lesson I learned. So the biggest lesson I learned was don't take life for granted. That's the biggest lesson right there. So value every single day. Don't think because you're young that it's okay to just waste a whole bunch of time. Take advantage of the time that's there. So that's something that I would say is the biggest lesson I learned. And always prioritize progressing your life, not for others, but for yourself. But if you progress it for yourself, then if you have the goal in mind to impress others, then that will happen. If your goal in mind is to progress your life. Countries to visit, let's see. That would be going back to biggest lesson learned. But countries to visit, it would be somewhere nice. What I mean by nice is somewhere where it's literally just made for tourists. So Egypt, half Egyptian, so it would be Egypt. Surprised I didn't say that before in the other interviews. It's because I'm always trying to think outside the box. I'm trying to expand my horizon where I would imagine myself to be. Egypt, and if I had to pick another country, I think just China, Japan. I don't know which one I would pick, honestly, between those two. If I had to pick one between those two. But those are two big countries that I would like to go to, and as well as Egypt, another big country that I would like to go to. That would be countries to visit. But if I had to define my style in 3 words, this is the next question. Defining my style in 3 words. Of course, it has to be athletic. Of course, it has to be luxurious. Not all the time, right? Because if I'm wearing athletic clothes, it's not always going to be luxurious. But it's either going to be one of those two in terms of when I'm doing my activities. So that's just two. And then for the third one, if I had to define it, of course, it has to be confident. If it's athletic and it's luxurious, of course. So that would be defining my style in 3 words. So my current philosophy, that's the next question. It would be love yourself no matter what. Don't focus on social constructs, right? Because with now social media, now there's always new things popping up. You have to be like this. There's a certain way of life that has to be lived. Don't fall into that. I know people say go with the flow. And a lot of times people could look at that as just not caring and just going where life takes you. But there was a video, years ago, and it was talking about pivoting yourself. So if you're in a certain position in life, right, and it's not the most optimal in terms of your point of view, pivot yourself, right? That's all you can really do, and have that positive mindset and continue moving forward. So that would be my philosophy. It's not always gonna look easy, and when you look at it like that, it's not gonna feel easy. But the best thing you can do is love yourself at all times. And by doing that, you have that positive mindset. And you just take that next step, but always keep in mind, don't pay attention to the next person's journey, that social construct, whatever it is, you know what I mean? Because living in this day and age is always, okay, this is what life should be like. Not everyone's life is going to be the same. So understand that that's going to be my philosophy as of right now, right? In terms of what's on the top of my mind in terms of philosophies. But of course, that would be one of my philosophies, just in general. Message to my future self, of course. We are making it. We're getting 1% better each year. That's my message. Obviously, my past self is always going to think bigger than what I am. And this version of me right now is always going to think that as well. And the future version of me is probably going to think that as well. But that's how you always have to think. Always got to aim high. That's what's going to make you work harder. So we are making it, of course. We're just getting seasoned. And by being seasoned, that we're garnering our foundation. That's not going to be easy. That's going to take time. But once you have it, you're going to start really progressing. So that's the most important thing. But other than that, I love and I appreciate every single one of you. If you have not, make sure you like, comment, follow, subscribe. I love you guys, and we out.